Hello there, welcome along to this evening's Premier League Tonight, and an extra special welcome to everybody watching us on Facebook and on Twitter and on YouTube this evening. If you've not seen the show before, where have you been? It's the best football debate show on TV. It's a whole hour of insight, conversations, stories, big names, big opinions, and we've got a big night lined up for you this evening. Use the hashtag PL Tonight if you agree or you disagree with anything our guests talk about. Share your thoughts on the day's football and stay where you are for a whole hour of conversation, including plenty more from this man.
The record goal scorer for Manchester United.
I'm hugely honoured to be able to play for this football club.
Wow! My goodness me! Again, it's Wayne Rooney! Captain fantastic! Rooney scores! Wayne Rooney, history man for Manchester United!
We're just making sure we get our money's worth out of the time we spent in the edit working on that. And I still feel bad you haven't got one of your own. Next time you're on the show, I promise you, a Danny Gabardon edit, OK?
Okay.
Not sure we've got much of... No. OK, let's move on.
Black and white, I think.
Out of my hamstring. Right, let's have a look at the headlines from today. This is what happened in the Premier League. Pep's Palace crumbles, yeah? He's impressed already. A bad day for Pep Guardiola's side, Crystal Palace, with a brilliant and much-needed result for them. Winter Wunderbar. Ralph Hasenhüttl, there he is, celebrating back-to-back wins for Southampton. Talk about impact. I mean, that is remarkable. Southampton fans, get in touch with the show. Share your thoughts on your new man. And Ole Football, I'm sure there's plenty of you Man United fans still watching. Stay where you are. Again, join in the conversation with the hashtag PL Tonight. Send us anything that you want to discuss, any questions you've got for any of the guests about Ole, about your club, whatever it might be. And we're going to start by continuing the conversation about Manchester United. This is Stephen, a United fan.
Oh my God, I actually can't believe what I've just witnessed. Where's that performance been hiding from a Manchester United side? 5 goals. I think that's the first time we've scored 5 goals with any of our new managers post-Fergie, and it took Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to do it. Jose Mourinho talking about who's a virus and this guy's a virus. Jose Mourinho looked like he was a virus. Paul Pogba, was it 3 assists from him today? One-touch football was amazing. The press was amazing. Rooney, you've played with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Is there anything that you saw in him as a footballer that you think could make him a great manager, and could he stay on after this 6-month period? Come on.
Yeah, I think Ole Gunnar, everyone looks from the outside, they look at him and think he's just a nice guy, he's always smiling, he's always happy, but to do what he's done in football, he's got a lot of desire, a lot of hunger, which a lot of people don't see. And I always remember as a young kid, and the advice Ole give me, I try and pass on to young players, and especially when you sat there on the bench and you're not happy and you want to be on the pitch playing, he always told me to watch the game, watch the defenders, to visualise what movement you're going to make to try and put yourself in a position to score goals or have an impact when you come on off the bench. And I think that's just, he's a clever person, I think, and he's got the brains to be a manager. And again, today was great to see, and that will relax him a little bit, because I know he will have felt a lot of pressure going into the game, but that will certainly have relaxed him.
And you spoke to us about what he was like when you were at Cardiff with him, and we didn't really have time to pick up on it in the pre-show before the game because of a lack of time. But you said sometimes we'd lose a game and you'd expect him to come in and tear a strip off the players, and he wouldn't do that. Is that something that he needs to do? Or has football management moved on now? And if you can just create a happy environment, you can get so much out of good players.
Yeah, I think it has moved on. I think you need to know your individual player on an individual basis, really. It's not so much shouting at every player in the dressing room after the game. I think it's having that personal knowledge of individual players and how to treat them, whether to stick an arm around them or whether to be a bit more aggressive with them. And I have to say he was very good at Cardiff. I don't know if he got that from Sir Alex Ferguson, but I can remember before I actually signed back at Cardiff, and he was very knowledgeable of players, but not their traits on the pitch, but also off the pitch stuff as well. He was talking to me about, he knew personal stuff about players, and I was very kind of surprised that, you know, he had that kind of depth of knowledge about his own players. So I think the game has certainly moved on. You don't see the teacups being thrown everywhere in the dressing room as much, and I don't think that's needed at Manchester United. I think it was probably a little bit that way with Mourinho. I think a different kind of approach is needed.
I think he obviously played under one of the most famous managers of all time in Sir Alex Ferguson. And just picking up on a point that Danny made, I think he was, in my short time there, I think he was the absolute master of knowing who he could have a go at, who he didn't, who would go into their shell. You know, you come in at half-time and he'd pretty much have a go at similar people every single time because they knew that he could get a reaction out of those. Or even he'd be making a subliminal message to him to get it to him because he knew he couldn't say it to that person over there because it might lower his confidence. I mean, Wayne was one of the first, weren't you? He would have a go at you, but he knew he'd get a reaction. Wayne would go out there and he would want to, you know, he'd go and score a hat-trick in the second half. And some people can't take it. They're just too weak to take it and it would set them back. So I think he's probably learned from the master in that point.
Is that what you needed, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
He didn't need it, but it would spur him on even more. I mean, he would get so mad that he'd go and score a hat-trick in the second half. I mean, it was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah, I think he knew, and Ryan Giggs was another one who Alex Ferguson used to know he'd have a go at and he'd get a big reaction from. But I think, as Danny said, the game has changed. It's moved on. It's you can't really go in now and absolutely just hammer players, constantly hammer them, because you lose them. Players, they earn enough money now, and you lose the players. So I think you have to look at it and go in a different way and almost try and keep the players on side, which I think the best managers now, they know how to do that.
Did Jose do that enough? Keep players on side?
In my opinion, obviously being there for a year with him, he didn't, and I think that was the one surprise he had, was the communication with the players wasn't as much as it could have been. And I think when you leave a player out of a game, sometimes for a player it gives them a bit of freedom of the mind when the manager says, I'm leaving you out for this reason or for that reason. But the players didn't get that, and I think that's the most difficult thing for a player, to try and work out why you're not playing. So
when you fell out the team and you got dropped, what did you try and get those answers from him?
Yeah, of course, and I think it's only right for a player to want to know why they're not playing. And I knew myself, if I weren't performing well enough, that I weren't going to be in the team, and that's what happened. But I think the big thing with Jose, I think, was the communication with the players, and I know the players, they weren't happy with them.
So what would he do then if you were suddenly not his number one striker? I remember didn't you start the season playing alongside Ibrahimovic? Yeah, the two of you, and then he ended up playing a lot of the games. Like, was nothing said to you about why you weren't the first choice?
Not in detail.
Nothing you could work with.
Yeah, there was nothing like, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. So it gives you something to go and work on, or to try and make yourself better at them certain things. But I knew Zlatan was one of his big signings. Zlatan come in, was scoring goals, and you know, I maybe weren't playing to the level which I knew I could do. So I knew that was the reason, and that was more or less what made me mind up to go and play elsewhere.
Strange, isn't it? Because if there's one thing footballers are good at, and you've all done it, it's taking criticism. You deal with it day in, day out. You want that, don't you? That's the way you improve.
Yeah, I think as a player you just want honesty from your manager, whether it's good or bad. There's nothing worse than a manager that doesn't let you know either way what's going on. I mean, I've worked under managers in my career where maybe I've been dropped from the team, and the manager hasn't come and said why, and you're just kind of left in limbo, and it's very difficult then to focus and kind of keep your concentration and keep your spirits up almost. You'll accept being dropped from the team. If a manager comes to you and says, look, this is why you're not playing, you'll accept things and move on and try and train better or perform better and try and get back in the team. But you know, there's nothing worse than when a manager goes quiet on you and kind of leaves you in limbo as a player, and you're not really sure what you need to do then to kind of get back in his good books. And that surprised me a little bit with Mourinho, because I always thought, particularly in his early days, his man management of players was kind of second to none. You never heard a player kind of come out and say anything bad about him, but it seems as if he's probably changed his ways a little bit in the last couple of seasons, and that really surprises me, because I thought that was probably one of his biggest strengths, really, as a manager, that man management of players and keeping the whole squad happy, which is very important.
I do struggle a bit, though, with sitting here and just talking about Jose's gone, so now everything's okay. You know, the players still have a responsibility to absolutely deliver for the badge, for the club, for the fans, week in, week out, regardless of who the manager is. You know, TV is a good example. Thankfully, my boss is lovely, but if he wasn't, I would still sit here and do my absolute utmost for personal pride. I don't think we can live in a world where footballers down tools, like the accusation was at Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, like the accusation was at Leicester under Ranieri towards the end of his days. We can't get into this situation where you outrun every single game just because the manager isn't someone you fancy.
No, I know, but look at the play. Let's look a little bit deeper. Look at the players he would pick. Do you think, Fellaini is going to outrun anybody? No.
But were those players still giving their everything, do you think?
Well, I don't think you can say that, and I don't think it's true. I had a long career, I've never ever gone out onto a pitch and thought, he didn't try today. Yes, I've thought he's rubbish, and he bottled out of a tackle, and, you want to blooming throttle them for doing that. But I would never ever accuse anyone.
So in recent performances for United, you thought those players were giving their everything?
Yeah, absolutely. No one of those players has ever gone out and think, do you know what, I'm just going to try 40% today because I don't like the manager. Come on, live in the real world. I mean, I know people will say, those players have got to look in the mirror and all the rest of it. Do you think it's like a really poisonous dressing room? Juan Mata's the nicest fella in football. Jesse Lingard, I know half of them. Wayne knows most of them better than me. They're not nasty people. They're not bad people. They're not, they're trying for each other. They're trying for their fans. But when you get sent out and it's, right, don't cross the half line, you do this, you do that, we're playing this player in midfield and another sitting midfielder here, and it's almost like you want to do something, you can't do it because all of a sudden you're going to get a rollicking when you get in for doing the wrong thing. I take massive offence as a footballer. I'm not saying you're accusing, but I take massive offence when people say, yeah, but they don't try for him and then they do. I've never met one player that's ever, and I repeat myself, gone out and thought, or said, I'm going to only give 50%.
So you don't believe in this thing about downing tools and not playing for a manager? That is, from your perspective, that doesn't exist. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I don't think the players have gone onto the pitch and said we're not going to give our all in this game. I think, as Michael said, I know the way Jose plays, and it's keep your full-backs close to your centre-halves, keep two midfielders in front of the back four, and then all of a sudden you're attacking with 2 or 3 players, which today we see Man United attacking with 7, 8 players at times. Ashley Young making runs beyond Rashford, which it makes a big difference. And I think sometimes it's easy for a player to get a knock and then declare themselves not fit for a game or two. I think that's quite easy because they don't want to put themselves in the limelight, and maybe they do feel the pressure a little bit, which is a shame, but it does happen. And I think, as you're seeing today, Luke Shaw is back fit. I'm not saying the last few games he hasn't been injured, but he's back fit now. There's a new manager in. He played really well today, Luke. But that does happen where players think, I've got a little knock, I'm not going to turn up on the Saturday.
When you talk about Jose not necessarily speaking to players who aren't involved, and we all saw, because we reported on it constantly, the sort of public berating of players. Who was there at United to then put their arm around the players that weren't involved in the squad? Did you get involved in that, speaking to players that weren't getting the information they would have maybe wanted? Or?
Yeah, of course, and you had to. Obviously, as captain, players are upset. Players want answers from the manager, or they want answers from someone, and you'd have to try and give an answer which try and keeps them happy. And that was what was difficult for me, being captain, not playing in the games. But then, I think I've said it before, driving in my car to get into training, feeling down, feeling low, I'm not playing, I'm not involved in the game, and then trying to put a happy face on to not let that affect the other players. And myself and Michael Carrick in particular, the last two really of our generation who was there, tried our best to help with the players, but ultimately you want answers off the manager, and we can only give them so much, and the real answers have to come from the manager.
Okay, well let's move it on to where United go from here then. What if anything can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer do to make sure that come the end of the season he gets offered the job, or is that just simply not going to happen?
Well, it could happen. It could happen, all right. Obviously, a continuation of the form today. Let's not go overboard here. I mean, I know they won 5-1, but they were playing against a team that have been promoted. There's still lots of things to work on, but That's the first time in years that I've looked at it and thought, that's Man United playing out here. And that's a huge start, a massive start. I still think the defence is pretty weak, central defence. I know Ollie said in the post-match interview that he was really pleased with that, but I thought Lindelof looks slow on the turn, looks pretty weak physically. I'm not convinced that their centre-half pairing is a pairing that's going to go and challenge for the league. But all of a sudden, instead of having 20 problems, I look at that now and think, oh, maybe they've only got 5 problems type of thing. So I think it's a huge start, and if he continues this, then, well, possession is 9/10 of the law, isn't it? I mean, he's got a right chance of getting it.
Winning games, simple as that. Going out winning games, and I think the manner of the victories as well, like today, that was the Manchester United way of playing. Certainly when I was a player coming up against Manchester United teams, you almost beaten in the tunnel. You'd look at the Manchester United players, world-class player after world-class player, and you were almost beaten before you went out on the pitch. It was almost like you were just trying to keep the score down. And I think it's about them getting that kind of fear factor back. And I just thought he simplified that today, Ollie, to be fair. I think he just said to the players, look, go out and play, express yourselves. The attacking players get on the ball, make things happen. And that's what you saw today, a Manchester United performance. So I think it's about them keeping that up. If they lose games playing that way, I think the fans will forgive them for trying to play the Manchester United way of playing. So, but it's about getting results. If you can get them in that top 4, which would be
top
a bit
4,
of a miracle. I think
win the Champions
probably
League.
Gets the job, yeah. But he definitely gets the job there, mate. So.
Doesn't he? Look, loads and loads of comments coming in on social media. Thanks for that. Gianpaolo said Man United played the best game of their season. It's clear the problem was Jose Mourinho. They're a joy to watch now. Margaret says, Mike Phelan, welcome home. The day you left was the start of the decline. That's probably something we haven't touched on, but is key actually to bring back someone who was so instrumental under the Sir Alex Ferguson era at that football club.
Yeah, I think he'll be excellent for Ollie. Someone to bounce off ideas, and obviously another coach who knows the club inside out.
And we'll finish with this one, the best way to finish this first part. Craig Smith, would you rejoin Man United on loan in January if the opportunity came up?
Do you know what? I'd love to, but I've moved my children out to Washington, so it wouldn't be fair on my children to bring them back and bring them out of school.
Yeah, you don't want to move your kids back to play for Man United again, of course not. Right, make sure you stay where you are. We'll continue the conversation in just a couple of minutes. Loads more still to discuss, including today's games, so keep the comments coming in. #PL Tonight. See you in a second. Welcome back to this evening's Premier League tonight. Keep your comments coming in. Paul Watson says a great honest discussion about the effort levels of players on Premier League tonight. Rooney is a must-watch, says James. That's nice, isn't it? David, if you could choose Solskjaer, Poch or Zidane right now for the full-time job, who would you pick? We'll get one word from each of you. Solskjaer, Pochettino or Zidane?
Poch.
Pochettino.
Syed says, is this the best Liverpool team in the Premier League era? Can they go on further than when they finished second in 2008-2009 and the 13-14 teams, or will City be too strong? Well, actually, let's have a quick look at the goals from the match on Friday night, Wolves against Liverpool.
Top of the league on Christmas Day. Not just that, but 4 points clear thanks to Crystal Palace doing us a favour today. Roy Hodgson, all is forgiven. You can have Christmas dinner at any Liverpool fan's house you want this year. Absolutely fantastic. Liverpool put the pressure on yesterday. Jurgen Klopp in his post-match comments talked about 105 points to win the league, put the pressure right on Man City and they crumbled. Last time Palace beat Man City at their place, 1990. Who won the league that year? Liverpool. It's got to be an omen, surely. We're grabbing onto anything we can at the moment because we're so excited. Liverpool, top of the league, Christmas Day. Huge game on the 3rd of January now. Can't wait.
It's such a frustrating result because we were the better team today. But Palace have got 3 points, and it is 3 points dropped for us. And now we have to wait for Liverpool to drop points. And the league, it feels a little bit like it's in their hands now. And we're the chasing team, and we are. We've got to go to Liverpool, we've got to go to Leicester and get 3 points on Boxing Day and hope for the best from here on in. So a tough one, a frustrating one. I've still got faith in Pep Guardiola and the boys, onwards and upwards.
They're without doubt the standout teams in the Premier League. It looks like it's going to be Liverpool or Manchester City, so it's probably a good time to be in the States, isn't it?
Very good time. No, it's painful, obviously, but I think they're the two standout teams, and I think they're the two teams, as hard as it is to say, people enjoy watching. The ideas, the changing the positions, the way they play in the game. It's fantastic. So it's interesting to watch, and I'm sure it's going to be a lot of points what wins this league.
Who's going to win it?
Through gritted teeth.
You can't say it. You
City.
can't.
I think City will win it. I think over the last 10 years, only 2 teams who've been top have not won the league, and both of them was Liverpool. So
he says with a wry smile on his
face. Hopefully that's the story again.
That's history. But this season, Liverpool have sorted their defence out. We saw Virgil van Dijk there scoring. If ever there's a season when you think Liverpool are going to win it, it feels like now. If City weren't who they are, Liverpool would be miles ahead.
Well, the last time, the season that Wayne's referring to, obviously they had 3 of the best strikers at the time, the Sterling, Sturridge and Suarez. You can argue who's the best, the current 3 or that 3, but what you can't argue about is that this time they've got an unbelievable defence, much better than it was. And Alisson's been a great signing. The emergence of Robertson is just unbelievable. Trent Alexander-Arnold is another unbelievable player. But Van Dijk is just what we've been discussing for a few minutes this afternoon. I just can't see anything he can't do. He's just an absolute Rolls Royce.
He's got everything. I mean, he's got that presence, he's got speed. I mean, what he did to Traore last night, where he just showed him the line and said, "Come on, let's have a race." And he
takes a brave man to have a race with Traore, doesn't it?
I mean, he's one of the quickest players in the league. He can pass the ball. He's got that leadership quality as well. For me, he's probably the best defender in the world right now. So for Liverpool to have him, they're very lucky. Alisson, as we mentioned, he's come in, done a really good job, and it's just a really nice balance about Liverpool now. We saw them last season; they were entertaining, scored plenty of goals, but we're miles off City at the end of the season. Now there's a grit of determination about them. They can win games now without being at their best, and I mean they've had to go unbeaten to this point to get 4 points out of City. It shows how well City have done as well, but certainly now it's certainly a title race on now, and even Tottenham in 3rd now. If they can win, beat Everton on the weekend,
you give them a chance.
They're playing really well. They'll be buoyed by that result today. I wouldn't rule them out either.
You're shaking your head. You're seeing a 2-horse race in the Premier League, right?
Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's between City and Liverpool. And as they were saying about Van Dijk, I think he's he's the big difference this time over to what Liverpool have had in previous years, and he just brings a calmness to his teammates around him also, and you can see he's a leader. So I think he's a big difference. But Jurgen Klopp, I think he looks like a dream to work for, and I think, as we're talking about Manchester United, that's a manager which Manchester United needs to get in that style and with that philosophy.
You think so?
Yeah.
Would you enjoy playing under Klopp?
Just
not for Liverpool.
Yeah, not for Liverpool, but no, from the outside, he just looks like a manager who all the players love him. Obviously, the fans love him. He just looks like a manager who you want to go and play, you want to win, because you can see it means so much to him.
There seems to be a recurring theme actually with these top teams now, and bringing in managers who, Sarri said the same thing when he arrived at Chelsea, I just want this to be a happy place to play football. You get the impression that there's a real respect between Pochettino and the players at Tottenham. You know, Pep Guardiola is an unbelievable taskmaster, but if you've seen that documentary on Life at City last season, again, they look like they're loving life under him. Football has become a kind of a happy place to be, rather than a manager ruling with an iron fist, as was perhaps the way it worked back in the day.
Yeah, but I think it's the way of the world, Jake. I just don't think it's football. I think if you like your boss in anything, you want to work for him, you're more motivated. So I just think it's the way of the world now. We're moving away from people ruling with an iron fist and ordering people around. And of course, you still need to be firm in certain situations. But when it comes to the leaders, let's say, I think it's really good to know your staff, in this case, in football, know your players, to appreciate them, to make them feel wanted and loved, and etc., etc. I think you get better performances then.
Right. Who wins the Premier League this season?
Oh. Well, I said City at the start, but now I think I've turned. I think Liverpool are just amazing at the moment, grinding results. Even when they play only okay, they're still winning games. So I think Liverpool.
Danny?
I've got to say Liverpool. I think it's so difficult to retain the Premier League. Manchester United were very good at doing that. No one else has really done it. So I got to go with Liverpool, yeah.
I think City.
You have to say that, though.
No, to be fair, both. I don't like any of them. So.
Is the
thought
of Liverpool winning the league just too painful for you to contemplate?
No, it's painful. I think if they win it, obviously they deserve to win it. So I'm not saying they shouldn't win it or they're not good enough to win it. I think they're a fantastic team and playing with so much enjoyment. But I just think City, with the experience of winning it, and once it gets to that last few weeks of the league, then I think City will come out on top.
You've just about convinced yourself, I think. Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to talk to Wayne about his career, the highs, the lows, the great moments. Join in the conversation. Any question for Wayne, and we have already, as you can see, plenty of them that have come into us. Use the hashtag #PLTonight. Questions for Wayne Rooney, and we'll discuss it after the break. See you in a second. Welcome back to Premier League tonight. Just to remind you that over on BT Sport Box Office, the undercard is well underway in Manchester prior to Josh Warrington defending his IBF World Featherweight title against Carl Frampton. The pay-per-view event is available on BT TV, Sky, Virgin platforms, plus online and mobile. For terms and conditions and more information, go to bt.com/Sport Box Office. We know that you like your boxing. Who wins that one?
Frampton, I think it'll be a great fight, but I think Frampton will be too good.
I'm not going to disagree with them.
You shouldn't.
Neither am I.
Quite right. We all agree. As to you, Fred, the Chorley Red says, Wazza, top class on Premier League tonight. Kev says it's brilliant having Rooney on. My favourite player of all time, and brilliantly honest comments about Mourinho. Paddy, people tend to forget Spurs in the title challenge. Lots of games to go yet. Lots of twists and turns. And other than that, masses of questions coming in for you, Wayne. So let's get on with it. If you want to join in the conversation while we're talking, we're live until 9 o'clock. Hashtag PL Tonight is the way to get involved with the show. Send in your questions and we'll try and ask them to Wayne. There's been hundreds of questions. We're going to start with this one from Mike.
Yeah, out of all the Wayne Rooney memories, I think my favourite one is a goal against Newcastle United, as it's a move that begins with him remonstrating with the referee, and it's a move that ends with him volleying a 30-yard screamer into the top corner. And I think it's a perfect example of the mix of passion and ability that was Wayne Rooney. But Wayne, what I'd like to ask, and obviously with the context of the last week at Manchester United, I'd like to know if you'd ever consider moving into management yourself, and if so, would you fancy managing Manchester United?
Yeah, of course. No, I'm currently doing my coaching badges, so it's something I'm passionate about. I want to go into coaching. Football is what I know, what I've grew up knowing and playing, obviously. So I think it'd be foolish if I didn't try and go into coaching. And if I'd like to manage Manchester United, of course, it's one day that would be an absolute dream if that could happen.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a massive club, and to go in there as manager, I'm sure Ollie isn't giving us his true feelings, but I'm sure deep down he is absolutely ecstatic with this opportunity. And I think for any player who's played for Manchester United to have the opportunity to manage them would be an absolute honour.
So management is something that is on the radar. That is what you want your sort of next career effectively to be. Yeah,
I think, as I said, that football is what I've done since I was a child, getting in the first team at 16, and that's what I know. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to go into office or go into to be agent or anything like that. Or be a pundit. I mean, it's not good for the waistline, but it's good for the bank balance, right?
Yeah. Neither. Well, certainly not good for the waistline, but I'm not sure about the bank balance.
Of all the managers you've worked with, who's had the biggest impact on you?
Sir Alex, I think. Just learning different things and different ways of how to see football, and you know, it wasn't always great. Obviously, we had disagreements, which is part of football, but just the overall impact he had on my career was massive. And I think he's the one coach I'd look up to and try and take as many things as what he taught me.
What sort of manager do you see Wayne being?
I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him. No, I think he's very good communicator. You know, obviously he had that experience of being captain for a long period of time, but even before he was captain, I mean, I always remember his debut. He was knocking people out the way to get to taking the free kick first. You know, he's always had that confidence. He's always had that ability to talk to people, and you know, one of the lads that actually knits the whole dressing room together, I think. So I've no doubt that he'll use those skills well when the time comes.
Is going to the States part of the reason for maybe preparing you for that management role? Because I guess with your experience for England, experience in the Premier League, you take a more senior role there than anyone else, perhaps.
Yeah, I think obviously going to the States, the whole team, even not just the team, but obviously there's obviously chats I have with the manager over there in terms of how we are setting up for games and different things like that. So obviously that will help me. It's a new experience, a new culture. Help me, a new league, help me in terms of seeing, obviously, you have all the glamour of Manchester United and the Premier League, but obviously going to a different league where you maybe don't have that, and just learning different things of how players are in different cultures. Very good. Well, look, good luck with it. Thank you. You won't need to go to Norwich because we've got the best manager in the world, obviously.
let's go into some questions then. David Hill, he says, what was Wayne saying to the ref before he smashed that wonder goal in? It was mentioned just then, actually. Still my fondest memory of Rooney. I love to think that he said, hey, ref, watch this. Bang. So what were you saying? If it's repeatable before the watershed. Yeah, but you can bleep it yourself. What were you saying?
Bleep. That's okay.
No, to be honest, it was Alan Shearer. He was committing foul after foul, and the referee just refused to book him. And I was like, if that was me, I know 100% I'd have a yellow card, and because it was Alan Shearer, and he weren't booking him, and I was a bit upset with him, with the referee, and I took that anger out on the ball.
So what you're saying was it was the anger that scored the goal in that moment?
Yeah, I think I was getting took off as well. I had a dead leg, and I was struggling with the dead leg, and I was about to get took off, and it was just sheer anger and aggression, which obviously turned out to be one of my best goals I've ever scored.
Do you class it as that?
Yeah, I think it's my Man City goal. I think is my favourite in terms of, obviously it was the derby. It was 1-1. We were both fighting to win the league, but in terms of actually the quality of the goal, I think that was the best one. Because
Dean said, actually Phil said his first goal against Arsenal for Everton, or that goal against City, and Emmy said one of my strongest memories growing up watching football was Wayne scoring that goal against City. What went through his head when he scored it? Do you remember? What were you thinking? Or do you think anything, or is it pure sort of instinct in those moments?
Yeah, I think it's instinct. The ball took deflection as it was coming to the box, and I just remember readjusting myself, and it was a bit behind me, and just thinking, why not go for it? And it's gone in. Whether it was my foot or my shin, I don't know.
Doesn't matter, does it?
No, it went in the top corner, and just the whole. In the game, I was playing awful. I was having a really bad game, and that goal got me out of another rollicking from Sir Alex, I think.
Another one. Loads of questions about your moves between Manchester United and Everton. Matt D said, how hard was it to leave your boyhood club Everton at the age of 18? I'll be interested to know what the process was behind making that move to Manchester United, and I suppose the motivation for making that move.
It was very difficult. Obviously, growing up Everton fan, Everton was the club I loved, and I think I just, from that 2 years, from 16 to 18, I knew I'm an ambitious person. I want to win trophies. I want to play at the highest level, and I knew to achieve that I had to leave Everton. Although it was so difficult, it was the right decision for me, and also it was the right decision for Everton. Everton was struggling for money. They were in debt, and the money they got for me helped them out a lot for that. So I think it was right for both myself, but also for Everton.
And then you have all that time at Manchester United and brilliant success and trophy after trophy, and it was the right move. How did you come to the decision that it was time to leave Manchester United? Not necessarily to go back to Everton, but what was the thought process behind thinking that was enough at United?
Just not playing enough games, and ideally the perfect, scenario for me would have been to finish my career at Manchester United, but it wasn't to be. I weren't playing enough games. I was still 30 years of age, still wanting to play, and in order for me to do that, I had to leave. So it was a very difficult decision, of course, but I think again it was the right decision for me, although it was a tough one to make.
And then the sort of second career at Everton, although you achieved some things I know you wanted to achieve, scoring in the derby, top scorer in the season for Everton, I know as well, but it wasn't what you dreamed of, the return to Everton necessarily?
Yeah, it was a tough year for us all there. I think having different managers was tough, and we didn't, I think first of all we didn't start the season well. Ronald Koeman got sacked. They brought David Unsworth in, and then obviously bringing Sam Allardyce in, so it was tough for everyone, and I just felt I should have been a bit more selfish. I should have almost refused to go and play in midfield and say I want to carry on playing in a more advanced role, which probably hindered my chances of doing even better there. But no, at the end of the day we finished the season well. We finished 8th in the league, which from December looked almost impossible to do, and I finished top goal scorer. So the owners had their own ideas in terms of me leaving the club. I didn't want to leave the club, but again, that's what they wanted, and I took that
Why was
opportunity.
that?
I think obviously I was on a high salary, and they wanted me off the books so they can bring new players in, which it was a while before they made me aware of that. I was just asking for the truth. I weren't going to cause any problems. If that's what they wanted, that's what I would have done. So it took a while to get there, but eventually we got there, and then obviously I made the decision to go to the States. Very good. I think we want to finish with this for this part. Favourite strike partner in your career, says Jord Cruz.
No question, is there? No question.
Zlatan, yeah. Probably a meal.
We'll leave it right there. We're going to take a quick break. We're back in a couple of minutes. Shush you. See you in 2 minutes.
We've got like the best collection of kits to basically tell your life story. Starting from when you was born, working all the way around to your last game. Okay. We're just gonna go through it, yeah, basically.
Right. This guy, yeah, let me just say something about this guy. This guy, people don't give this guy the respect he deserves. This guy was unplayable. Like, I know for a fact we used to go into games and people just look at him in the tunnel like that. Is that him? Is that Wayne Rooney?
I was one of those guys in the tunnel.
Yeah. What was it like standing in the tunnel alongside him?
Frightening. It wasn't just him, it was Rio, it was Ronaldo, it was Tevez.
But mainly him?
Yeah, mainly him. No,
yeah. Just so you know, that was a little teaser of a new online show called What I Wore. You can see it on btsport.com on our YouTube channel. It's a brilliant little series and we've got some great players lined up for it, so make sure you check that out if you get a chance. Message from Gareth K. Did Wayne actually pick Rio up in the morning?
A few times, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's referring to that tweet you sent a few years back. Were you designated driver in the mornings?
No, but no. I think we lived close, so we picked each other up a few times and went into train together or went home.
When you talk about that sense of fear, and Danny's like the fear factor at Manchester United, when you were both in that United team, did you feel it yourselves? Did you sometimes feel that games were won even standing in the tunnel looking at the opposition? And equally, did you kind of feel beaten at the same time?
You knew, I think, a lot. Certainly the first 7-8 years of 10 years, whatever, of being at Manchester United, I'd go into a game just knowing that you're going to score or we're going to win the game, and you could feel the fear from your opponents. You could feel it. There was something just there which you knew that they were scared of playing against you, and that sort of went away towards the end. But certainly the first 10 years, that was a big part of us, and that arrogance that we had, not in a bad way, but we had the arrogance knowing that we were going to win.
And you felt beaten already? Oh, yes.
They had an aura about him, like, especially at Old Trafford. It was so difficult to go there and get a result. And the amount of times I actually went there and played, and maybe for 45 minutes you defended well, it was 0-0, and then they'd blitz you in the second half with 2 or 3 goals in a 15-minute spell. But it was relentless. They just came at you, wanted to score goal after goal after goal. And that's where they need to get back to, I think.
OK, Nigel sent a message saying I could listen to Wayne talk about his time in the Premier League for hours, but I think we should move on to England a bit. And Matt has sent us a message saying, Euro 2004, our team was amazing and so was Wayne. Look at that team and the results. Is the injury in that tournament Wayne's biggest regret internationally? Not regret. I think, first of all, why I think I played so well was, now this was a lot down to Michael.
Thanks, mate. No one's ever said that.
Here we go, finally.
So no, I think
I turned provider that tournament.
Yeah, no. Michael set me up for a few goals, but also, give me that sense of, freedom and help me relax a bit more on the pitch, and so really helped me a lot in that tournament. And I honestly believe that if I didn't get injured, I believe we would have went on and won that tournament. Really? Yeah. What was it like playing with Wayne?
Well, as we joke about it, as we set off in that competition, I was, in general, the furthest forward, the goal getter, and Wayne was the number 10, scoring goals, creating goals, linking the play. And I remember him starting the competition brilliantly well. Against France, he was on fire. Then he continued to score goals in the group stage. Then we got to the knockout stage, quarter-finals against Portugal. I managed to get on the score sheet after a few minutes, and we were flying, feeling really confident. And then obviously his foot went, and then after that it just slowly ebbed away the whole game. We managed to draw. I think Lampard scored to make it 2-2. Went to penalties and of course got knocked out. But I agree. I think if Wayne hadn't have got injured in that game, we were flying at the time. I think we would have beaten Portugal, and then it would have been, well, they beat Greece in the final, didn't they? I forget who was it.
Czech Republic.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think we would have won it as well.
And then moving on to 2006 and this golden generation, I don't know whether you saw it, but we had a chat with Frank and Stephen and Rio on this show about the golden generation and what went wrong with that group of players. When you look back on your period with England, what do you think it was that cost us the opportunity to get to a World Cup final or win a World Cup?
Yeah, I think we were obviously a bit unlucky going out on penalties a couple of times, but I just think there was a big pressure there for the team, which we as a group of players, we didn't really find our way around that, and to allow us to have that that opportunity even more than what we had. So I think in 2006, looking back, if I had to relive that, I wouldn't have went. I weren't ready. Obviously, I broke my foot, and you want to go. Obviously, it would have been it was my first World Cup, and so you're doing everything to try and be there and try and perform. But looking back, I should never have went. Really? No, I think I weren't fit. Obviously, my foot was almost healed. I weren't match fit, and that obviously didn't allow me to perform at my best. So did you go because of pressure you put on yourself, pressure that the England management put on you to be there, or the pressure you felt from the country because you were the great Wayne Rooney that was going to have this amazing World Cup? I think it could have been a bit of everything, but I think ultimately I wanted to play. I love playing for England, and it's a World Cup. They would have had to, wheel me. I would have to be in a wheelchair to not at least give her a chance to not go. So I went, but I think it's only when you get a bit older and you realise the pressure you're putting on yourself, but also that weren't good for the team, and I would never have gone now.
And just recently you got the opportunity to put on an England shirt once again, step back into the dressing room, which I know was a nice moment for you. Having been through the period that you did, and then having seen how things are now under Gareth, and we talk about this new era for England, how different did you sense that dressing room was under Gareth?
I don't think it was massively different. I think obviously the squad is a lot younger, and I think that's helping the team. He's brought a lot of young players through together. When I come through, I was literally on my own as a young player. There was players like 5 years older, 6 years older, but other than myself, there was no one else my age, and so that was tough. But I think he's doing it right. He's bringing them two together, and they're experiencing, you know, the ups and the downs together. And I think they done fantastic in the World Cup, and obviously now to get to the semi-final next summer again is a great achievement, and hopefully they can go on and win that.
And also just helping to maybe lift the pressure of playing for England. At times, some of the players talk about it being a bit suffocating, you know, a decade ago or so, and they've got to find a way of not making them feel like that, haven't they?
Yeah, it is. It's tough, as Michael knows. It's tough to play for your country, and I think a lot of people from the outside, they look and say, oh, the players don't care, they don't want to, you know, they're not giving this, they're not giving that. But we cared. We cared more than anyone, and we just didn't get it right at major tournaments. And it's a shame because we all wanted to do well and to achieve something, but we didn't quite get there.
Brad Ripley says, is it coming home?
I hope so. I think Gareth's done fantastic, and you know, I think the group of players he's got, they've got so much ability, and with a bit of luck, I'm sure they'll be successful.
Okay. Thanks ever so much for your company.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen, for sitting and listening to the Wayne Rooney special on Premier League. Interesting, though, right? Interesting stuff.
Fascinating.
Right, we're not saying goodbye just yet, though. Of course, there's some boxing following on straight after us. Here's a little something to whet the appetite. Have a look.
It's about timing in this game, and this is my time now.
Every time he goes to bed at night, he's praying that I'm over the hill.
I believe I'm the best at 9 stone in this country.
I believe I'm going to beat him up. I think that he's made for me. His style is made for me.
You can't turn around and say to me, oh, I'm feeling the best I ever am. Going off of them performances.
I haven't been as up for a fight in a long time. I'm Carl Frampton.
This is Josh, the Leeds Warrior Warrington.
If you want to see World Championship boxing,
watch me versus Carl Frampton
on the 22nd of December
on BT Sport Box Office.
Oh, here we go, featuring two huge British boxers. The ring walks are scheduled for 10 o'clock. The undercard is actually happening right now. If you want to get involved, this pay-per-view event is available on BT TV, Sky and Virgin platforms, plus online and mobile. For terms and conditions and more information, go to bt.com/sports box office. Emil Heskey.
And you called me fat.
I didn't.
I'm disappointed.
I said it can happen to all of us that just sit in TV studios. Danny, thanks ever so much for being with us. Cardiff, survival this season?
Yeah, that's the aim. It's going to be difficult. I think it's going to go right to the end of the season for them. But home form is going to be key. Need to perform a little bit better than they did tonight.
Brilliant. Wayne, all the very best next season in the States. Come back and join us again sometime, yeah?
Yeah, I will do.
See you later, Michael. Have a very happy Christmas, all of you. As ever, the last word is yours. Good night.
Turns out miracles do happen at Christmas as Fulham get their first clean sheet of the campaign away.
If I was to ask for anything for Christmas, it would be that Eddie Howe signs a lifelong contract and never leaves us.
Just let Leicester back into the game, didn't deserve anything. It's completely ruined Christmas.
Wishing all you West Ham fans and all you football fans a Merry Christmas, have a good time, and until the 27th, come on you Lions.